Hey, welcome to the Pharmacy Residency Podcast, a member of the Pharmacy Podcast Network. I wanted to talk about those PGY1 and PGY2 graduates who will probably be graduating in the next 2 years. A number of people went into residency and were maybe not sure about what their options were after. They just knew that more doors would be open if they've got the residency. But the one thing that they really didn't expect was to be looking for a job in such a way that the job was not going to be where they wanted in what they found that they liked. And I wanted to talk to you a little bit about what happened to my wife and I. She graduated from pharmacy school during the housing crisis, 07, 08, and we got into residency, and then the year after, I got one of the only teaching positions available at my community college, and then she got one of the only positions available at a grocery chain where she was able to do some clinical services, but she had worked there for many, many years. And I think what's happening is that when you are looking for a position, people are hiring based on risk. So if you're someone that's been with the company for a long time, then that really, really mitigates the risk. They've seen your commitment to the company, and that works great. So I saw that some people were getting part-time clinical positions because that's all that was available within the budget. And I think that's a really good idea to get in there, to get the part-time position, to be the first one to see those internal offerings that are going to be available. If you are thinking about residency next year, we're seeing that the residencies or the residents tend to be going as scheduled. There's some that are going to have some kind of remote work, and those are generally maybe managed care residencies. But for the community residencies, the hospital residencies, a lot of them are business as usual, and they're coming in face-to-face, obviously with lots of protections. But if you're just graduating now and you're like, I don't have a job, I have no idea what to do, my first thought is, well, what's available, period? And to kind of get out of your head that you were a resident, and to get out of your head that even you were a pharmacy graduate. And the first thing you're saying is, well, right, but I did these things, so I should. And we're in the middle of a pandemic, and my wife and I were in the middle of same thing, where we had the housing crisis. And I left Baltimore. I was a very successful real estate agent for 7 years. It was a side hustle that turned into a full-time thing. But I quickly recognized, all right, well, it's a housing crisis, so we probably don't need real estate agents like we used to. Okay, it's a pandemic. You would think we need health professionals more than ever, but we're finding that that's actually the opposite. We're finding that health professionals, we do need them, but not in the way that we expected. We're going to start seeing, especially if there's a vaccine, a tremendous rise in the number of health professionals we'll need for that job. And once we get to immunizations for other conditions, influenza and things like that, you're going to be seeing those kind of double immunizations coming along. But right now, we're in what I would call just this very flat period where hiring is slowed or stopped in some cases, and it's just something you have to get through. It's very much like, gosh, I hate to put the marathon as a analogy, but there are just some parts of the marathon you just gotta struggle through. And I think, you're excited in the beginning of the race, and then as you're getting to mile 13, that's kind of fun. And then when you go to mile 13 to mile 18, that actually has always been the toughest part for me because it's just boring. I know that things are gonna hurt once I get to mile 18 and 19 and that last hour. But it's kind of like the calm before the storm. And I'm like, all right, well, let's get to 14, and let's get to 15, and let's get to 16. For some of you, you've never had a job outside of residency. For some of you, you've had part-time jobs as interns. But what I would start doing is just getting any job. And I heard this great podcast where they were talking about Mark Cuban, who's the billionaire, owns the Dallas Mavericks, and he, I think, might make a presidential run. And he did all these different jobs. And where each person that, you know, graduates residency hears other residents that are graduating and getting residency required positions, they're feeling like a failure. But Mark Cuban wasn't like that. He would go to a job and say, what can I learn from this job? All right, what can I learn from that job? And you're saying, well, look, what if I go into the service industry for a couple of months or something like that? And what I would say is, okay, well, what training am I going to get? Who am I going to work with? And what can I tell the person that does interview me? So when you go through residency and you go into an interview, somebody says, all right, well, what do you bring to the table? Well, I did residency. All right, well, there are 4,000 people that did residency. What else do you bring? What experience do you bring? Well, I had these experiences in residency. Yep, 4,000 other people had those experiences. Well, after residency, I really didn't find a job that I was really like this one, the one that I'm applying for now. So I went off and I did this, and this is what I learned. And I had 10 people working under me. And I learned a lot about working with people and making sure that everyone was safe and working to make sure that, and that's when you start having a conversation. That's when you start being experienced and helpful and all of those things. Right now is a very strange time because there are people that are losing their position that already graduated, already had residency, and have hospital experience as a post-resident. And you're competing with them. And that's very unusual. So my advice to you is get a position, obviously something that you would prefer, but you really want to find something that you're going to be able to turn around into the conversation that you need, which can kind of take you into the job and make you stand out. Because right now, really, the positions are only taking those people that stand out and that have something different. So as you're looking to July and saying, gosh, there's really nothing out there, I would say, okay, well, what can I get now? Get some experience working with other people, no matter what the position, and start from there. And you say, but I'm a pharmacist. Why am I working in a bank? I'm a pharmacist. No, you're a college graduate. You just happen to be good at helping people with their medications. But I would just get rid of the with medications. You're just good at helping people. So whether you're working at a bank, whether you're working at a store, whether you're working wherever, whatever it is that you're doing, I would try to turn that into something that I could sit down with someone and say, you know, I took that opportunity and I wanted to make sure that I got something out of it, and I didn't want to just wait for the perfect position. Rather, I wanted to make sure that I stayed in there working with people, working and getting better at something that I haven't had too much of an opportunity to do, which is to work with people who work under me. And that's the one thing people are really looking for, is leadership and an ability to move a team forward. And if you've never really done that except for residency, then you're just one of 4,000. But if afterwards you have 3 months of experience working with people, having a team, motivating a team, talking about sales targets, talking about whatever targets, then I think that you're in a much better position. So it's a tough time. I'm not going to tell you that that isn't the case. But I think that by getting a position, embracing the position, you're going to find it a lot easier to get a job than if you don't work at all.